What's up, Group Coach Nation? I got Melanie Benson hanging out. Melanie, how you doing?
I'm pretty good. I'm happy to be here with you, Chris.
I'm happy to be here with Melanie. So you guys have got to freaking. I wish Melanie, we should start recording, like the whole pre-show chit chat. I think that all the time because we just got to know each other so much better. And she lives like just down the street from Malibu, California, and that is my family's favorite beach on the West Coast for sure. Such a great beach. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
So
I
Melanie,
feel blessed. I feel blessed.
you know that little spot? There's like there's a little spot. By the way, if you audio listeners, we're talking about collaborations today. Melanie's a genius at that. So how to activate those collaborations. We'll get to that in a second. But Melanie, you know, there's like a little restaurant. I think some Beach Boys like videos or stuff was made there, and there's a whole bunch of surfboards stuck on the ground, like at the parking lot. You drive into the parking lot, the restaurant and all that stuff is kind of when you're facing the ocean, you're in the parking lot on the leftish side. You can go around the right, and there's a whole bunch of tables and gazebos.
Paradise Cafe.
Boom! Oh my
Yeah.
gosh! Like,
Oh, we can play this game all day. I
ah,
love this game. I'm usually better with music, but sure, location. I mean, yeah, we love that place. Although it's changed dramatically in the last couple of years.
I haven't
They
been
gave
there
it
in
a big
5 years,
facelift.
probably.
Yeah, they
Really?
gave it a big facelift. Yeah.
Is it better or
Yeah.
worse?
It's not, well, it's more shishi.
Oh, it's not as original. Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of went for the millennial high-end crowd who like to drink beers and wine and cocktails and lounge on these big foofy chairs. So they kind of went for a European beach vibe, but
That's
still really fun. I highly recommend it. It's a great place to
you
go.
can't beat it. I mean, Malibu Beach is out the back door. You can't beat it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So Melanie is our resident expert on several things. We're going to talk about collaborations today and using all kinds of ways to activate those partnerships and collabs. But here's the bigger thing that Melanie's good at that makes her an expert at this. It's building the authority and helping you be seen and known. Because so many of you, I mean everybody here, all of you guys here, Group Coach Nation, you're all freaking good experts. Y'all change people's lives. You change lives in very specific ways that are very unique to you. And the problem usually is not that, I mean, you might have imposter syndrome like we all do some days, but it's not that you're not good enough or that your content isn't good enough or that you don't know how to really help somebody. It's that people just don't know who you are. They don't know where you are. They just don't know you're out there and you exist. Melanie is really good at helping you get noticed in really powerful ways. So Melanie, thank you for like hanging out with us.
Thank you, and thank you for that lovely introduction. And I agree. Like I was trained as a coach. And for the first 2.5 years of my business, I felt completely invisible. So, yeah, it wasn't until I learned a few things that really helped me stand out. And, can I just jump in on that really quick?
Yeah.
Because people
Yeah.
ask me, like, why does authority matter? Like, why do we need to have authority? And like, it feels kind of like I'm a police officer or something. It's like authority has a lot of meanings, but authority basically means that people turn to you because they know you know your stuff.
Mhm.
And when we're in a very crowded market, which I think most of us are, then we have to be able to stand out and be seen as the person or one of the top people. And I think that's where we can give ourselves what I call this visibility advantage by being the authority in the eyes of the beholder.
Mm. I love that. And I love that in the eyes of the beholder, something you pull out there because so many of us try to do something that we're copying everybody else, or we're doing something that's just for us, just for our own gratification, but it's not right if it's not the market's view of you. Like that market's view of you, the eyes of the beholder is so important. Not being someone you're not, just like they're the ones that are buying from you. You're not the one buying from you. So, okay, let's dive in here then. Let's talk about collaborations because this comes up so often in our community, in the masterminds that we teach, and here in just our free community. People asking about how to build partnerships, JVs, collaborations. Should I have a podcast? Should I be a guest on a podcast? Should I joint venture this, that, all these things? Kind of give us an overview of what makes a good collaboration, what doesn't, and then we can get kind of granular on here's like some ideas you can actually use to start building collaborations. How about that?
Yeah, I love that. So, what I mean by collaboration, what I think makes a good collaboration, I have a term I use called collaboration currency. And what I believe makes a good collaboration is two people who serve a similar audience, or ideally a very aligned audience, very much the same audience. And you find ways to bring synergistic and complementary opportunities to each other's audiences. Now, sometimes that might look like, okay, it's, I'm speaking at this event. I thought of you. That might be a very simple collaboration. Or I'm really loving what Chris is putting out on LinkedIn or on Facebook or whatever. So I'm going to give him some social media love. It can be very, very simple. And it can be very intricate, where you have an agreement to at least once or twice a year promote each other's programs or participate in their launch campaigns. And so collaboration, when you know it's good, Chris, is it feels like you're winning the lottery every day, because this person generously and consistently shares you, and you feel excited to share them with your communities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the best part is the audience, the community wins, because they are getting value that you probably won't be able to bring them the way this other person does. And so nobody loses, everybody's winning. It feels good, and you want to keep coming back to it over and over and over again.
I love that. And it's so simple because I'm going to go two directions with this, because you just brought up, like, there's this kind of informal, just sharing the love, and then there's a little more formal structure. So we have affiliate connections, JV connections, etc., with very specific coaches, consultants, product vendors, service vendors, whatever, that complement what we do and that we complement what they do. But we're so careful about that, right? Because you don't want to connect or be, I guess, seen in the same space with someone that you really might think, this is not a great person. They might look like a great opportunity, but if they're not a great person, they can drag you down so fast. The flip side of that is you find the winners. I love the way you said that, like winning the lottery every day. Just yesterday, one of our collaborators, I'll mention him, FlowChat, Chris Malone, Sean Baden own FlowChat. They were in our mastermind to learn how to build masterminds 3 years ago. I don't know. They got a company called FlowChat. They just posted something on Facebook with, like, my face in an astronaut suit, their faces in a rocket ship behind us on the moon. Like, they just made this freaking graphic, and we're like, thanks, Chris, for helping us blast off 3 years ago, whatever. And I had no idea that was coming. There's no deal we had. But that is such a pro level example of two people who are like, we're going to keep investing in our relationships that matter to us, even when there's not like a direct, will you send this mass email out to me so I can get commissions? It's just, it's keeping a friendship alive. It's just think friendships. Don't think business, right? Like, think friendships.
There's a saying that people support people they care about, right? And I found I kind of accidentally bumped into this collaboration concept when I started my business in 2000. And I had no idea how to like get my business going. So I started looking for groups of people who were of like-mindedness. And following a very circuitous route, I ended up in this mastermind with three other very famous internet marketers and direct, marketing people. And we found that we really liked each other, right? And we wanted each other to succeed. And so there was this natural desire to put each other on each other's stages. Like, I at that time put together a monthly event, and we would have 75 to 100 people in the room. And every month somebody was speaking. And so that was an asset I had to work with. My other friends put on big live events once or twice a year. And all of a sudden, like, we were looking for reasons to give each other opportunities. Connecting with somebody who's like looking for a speaker. And I think that goes to what you're saying is, there is something that when many of us who, I don't know about you, Chris, but I work from my home office.
Yeah.
I don't go to a location to work. I'm not hanging out around the water cooler with other people in my team. It's like they're all over the country and the world sometimes. I believe that nurturing relationships is becoming a bit of a lost art.
Mm.
And I think that there's something to be said about really just cultivating a rich community, because they become your centers of influence. They become the people who go out and share what you're up to naturally and organically without anything attached to it, and are more likely to say, hey, yeah, I'll help you get that out in front of my list. So I, I'm a huge proponent of connections. But can we just talk about not everybody is your person? You
Yes.
alluded to that.
Yes.
I believe that our values drive our collaboration choices. You know, what we believe is important in business oftentimes creates a common ground amongst peers, and I use that as a baseline to help me vet and explore if somebody feels like a good fit for me. And what's important to me isn't important to everybody else, because obviously there's a lot of people helping other people's launches that I don't want to participate in because I'm like, yeah, that's not working for me. And so I think, and I have like a whole vetting checklist that I give people to use in this process, because I think sometimes we forget to ask the right questions. And then later we're like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. This doesn't feel like a good fit, right? Have you ever had that moment? You're like,
Totally.
forgot to ask that question.
Absolutely. And it's really good to get to know people before you jump into collaboration. I'm sure you get the same thing, Melanie. We get a lot of invites. I'm sure everybody watching this does. You get a lot of invites, somebody saying, hey, we do a JV, we do this, we do that. And you just got to be so selective. And yet relationships are where that really happens. So if you want a relationship with a joint venture opportunity, anybody watching, listening right now, you Group Coach Nation folks, if you want that relationship, somebody told me several years ago, you got to, I guess somebody's been saying this for thousands of years probably, but dig your well before you get thirsty. And in the relationship space, find the people you want to connect with a year from now, and build that relationship and be authentic, and invest in them. Actually show them love, promote what they're doing without anything in return. Just share, and eventually relationship opportunities start not on every relationship, but it works out. Okay, so Melanie, let's get practical. What are some ways, we get 19 minutes left, what are some ways that we can like dive in and say, okay, I want to start activating some real collaborations with people? Like, just pick one. Let's break down one at a time. And what should we start doing?
I tell my clients to make a dream list. Who are 10 people that you would love to have an opportunity to collaborate with in some way, shape, or form? And if you don't know who they are specifically, think of the industries they might be in, or think of the type of business they might have. And then get very intentional. Keep that list handy, and every day, like, have your radar turned on. Look for people who might show up in your feeds because they've been featured by one of your friends. Okay, so that's one way. Second, I want to talk about how podcasting plays a part in
Okay,
this.
so I got,
And
hang on a second. Go back. So
okay,
you're saying I should make a list of those 10 people that I
mhm.
want the collaborations with, and those are a few ways to go find them, or make a list if you don't have them.
Yeah, I'm going to give you the second way.
Okay, cool. All right,
Okay,
I'm with
so
you. Yeah.
the second way is podcasts and shows like this are a great way to open up a new relationship. It's a lower risk. Now, Chris's show is live, but a lot of podcasts are pre-recorded. So if you start a podcasting conversation with somebody and it's a train wreck, and you're like, yeah, that's not my person, it's pretty easy to hit the delete button and never air the episode, right? And theoretically, Chris could go and delete an episode or take it off and go, nope, we're not airing that. That's not our
Yeah, so
people.
if you people watching live right now, all of a sudden the broadcast goes dead,
Goes,
you'll know
boop.
why. Yeah.
What happened to that
I hope our internet doesn't go out.
non-listening?
It'll look so bad right now.
Yeah, I know, right? Okay, we are not going to call that in. But podcasting is such an easy way to open the door. And so here's a little kind of like a hack, if you will, to find some great collaboration partners through podcasting. Go look on your competitor's LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram page, scroll down, and notice some of the shows and the podcasts and the platforms where they've been featured. That is a clue that there is an opportunity, there is a audience, there is a host that has similar that you've had they've had your competitor featured. So that means there's a pretty good chance if you can come up with a great topic that fits their need, you might also be able to get featured.
Ooh, that's good. I
I
like
mean,
that. That's a good tip.
it's kind of super simple, but very effective. When I first started ramping up my podcast guesting, I just go like, okay, well, I don't know where I'm going to find. I mean, now there's like a ton of ways to find great podcasts, but I was kind of searching around going, hey, my friend Jim's been featured on some pretty cool podcasts. Maybe I'll reach out to them too. Or my friend Janice has been featured, so it's just a great way to prime that pump. Now, I want to take this podcast conversation 2 steps further, if that's okay, Chris. Can we just
Yeah.
unpack this one a
Can I
little
just
more?
mention one thing that caught my attention
Please.
before you do? Noticing people often think, well, so and so had, okay, you're looking at your competitors, Instagram account or LinkedIn, whatever. You see they've been mentioned on these 3 or 4 shows. They're on their podcast. Okay, cool. You're like, well, that means that podcast host found a similar topic that you and your competitor both talk about relevant for the audience and themselves, probably. And we often think, oh, well, but so-and-so's already covered it. They don't want to talk about it anymore. No. Oh my gosh. It's not like you talk about one topic and then you never talk about it again. They need to find interesting guests that are relevant to their audience. And that topic is going to keep coming up in their audience. It never goes away. So yes, just putting a mental note in there to be like, don't give up because you saw your competitor already speak on that platform. It just means they're interested in the topic. It doesn't mean the topic's already been checked off the list.
I could talk about this for a whole hour, so I'm going to try and make this super super tight little
Yeah,
soundbite
this is
here.
really good.
But the more specific and magnetic your topic, the easier it is for the host that you're pitching, to have similar topics.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay, so this
So
is
break that down. Yeah.
yeah, it's a writer downer. Workshop, or sorry, normally I workshop with my clients their topics, and they would say to me, "Well, this host is actually my competitor." So here's another angle. When you do similar things, you might think, "Well, they're not going to have me on. I'm their competitor." That's not necessarily true.
Mm.
There's so much opportunity because, Chris, would you agree? We had to come up with content every single week, and some people 3 times a week, some people every day. So we're hungry for great content. And so you pitch me a complementary synergistic topic, I'm going to book you.
Yeah.
Just don't lead with the same thing that I teach and we'll be fine. It's like, and sometimes I even will interview people who do the same exact thing. We'll just find a different way to talk about it.
I completely agree. He has so many freaking fish in the sea, guys. It's like there's no real voice for competition in the digital marketing space. There's just so many people, and if you're scared about the competition, you're just not doing it good enough. Step up your game, because I promise you there's plenty of prospects and clients out there for you. And you're right, Melanie. We have on our shows, great example. We teach experts how to build high-ticket masterminds and group coaching programs. That's all we do. I don't know, once a quarter or so, I have one of my competitors, because there's people out there doing the same thing I do. None of us are unique little unicorns out here. Come on, let's be honest. And they do it really well. And yet they attract a different type of person. I know that not all of you in my audience will buy from me. I know that. And they know not everybody in their audience will buy from them, because you got to find the right personality. You got to find the person you trust and lean into. And it's a great thing to bring other people into that conversation. So I applaud you, Melanie, for honestly being brave enough to do that and being right enough to do that.
Thank you. Yeah, I've had competitors. I teach a program on how to turn podcast guesting into profits, and by being very strategic. And I have a friend who teaches something similar, and we've promoted each other's stuff. We've had each other on each other's shows because we do it differently. What she does is different than what I do. Like, I have a different mastery around it. Like, I actually get paying clients a lot of times from being on other people's podcasts, but there's a very strategic process involved.
Yeah.
And so that takes me down into another. Did you want to jump in on that?
Yes, let's go. I love it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. There's another layer to this, and that is not we were talking about, who should be your people. Well, yes, you're vetting somebody on the podcast. You're kind of getting that first door opened because, it's not always easy to email somebody and say, hey, well, you want to do like an email swap, or I have this launch coming up. Do you want to email for me, even though you don't know me at all?
Mhm.
No, that's not how it works. It definitely doesn't work that way for me. But when you get on into that conversation in the green room, which is the space either before or after the interview, this is a great opportunity to find out more about what's up for that person, to explore like what else might they be interested in collaborating on? Where do they have some opportunities coming up? Where can you maybe give something back to them? Where can you give them some visibility or be a great connector and open a door? So that moment that you are on the podcast, or that 20 minutes when you're on the podcast, that is planting seeds. But most people are not collaboration first people. So
Mm.
they're not going to open those conversations up. You have to be willing to take the lead.
Yep. Oh, love it. Love it. You know, an interesting example of this, Melanie, is you and I. I don't know if you know our entire history. This is
Oh, I
interesting.
do.
Okay.
I was wondering if you're going to mention it.
It's fun, right? Because it's such a great example of this. So
It's a great example.
I think, Melanie, I wanted to be in contact with you. I'm the one who started this, I think.
You
Um,
did.
yeah.
You approached me on LinkedIn a year or two ago, I think it was.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And Melanie ghosted me. And then I found you on Podmatch, Alex
Yeah.
Sanfilippo's thing, which, by the way, guys, if y'all aren't on Podmatch and you're doing anything in the podcast space, guesting or hosting, freaking get on it.
Yeah.
Send me a message. I think we have a link that gets you a free month. Send me a message. I'd love for you to have my affiliate link. So then it was Podmatch, and I don't think we really took that conversation very far. And then you were on Sophie Zollman's show, which Sophie's been in my mastermind. And so I was like, okay, hey, we were both on Sophie's show. I know Sophie, let's talk. We started talking. Even that didn't get me through your screen, though. I think it wasn't until a mutual friend of ours, was it Lindsay
My
Phelps?
my marketing person, my marketing VA. Yeah.
Yeah, is that Lindsay?
Yeah, so here's what's so interesting. It takes relationships sometimes to get past all the noise.
Yeah,
And just a little backstory, I get pitched on LinkedIn a good 20 to 30 times a week. So
yeah.
I'm kinda numb to the pitches, like, they don't get very far for me, but I will say you did a great pitch, and I was really interested. I think I just got super busy, and I didn't really, circle back because it's on LinkedIn where I don't go all the
It's
time,
just busy.
so
It gets in 30 seconds, it's
yeah.
gone. Yeah,
But
yeah.
Chris is such a great, point about collaborations, because once the friend connected us, I was like, "Oh, yeah, I really liked his stuff. Now's the time." You don't wanna just pitch somebody once. If you have a coveted show you wanna get on, don't just, like, pitch and ditch. Like, pitch and pitch and pitch and pitch. Find a way. Actually, here's something even better. Find a way to stop pitching and start connecting. How
Yes.
can you start connecting with the person and start adding value into their life? Because honestly, I don't say this overtly, but what happens sometimes, I'm kind of looking at like, well, how are they going to show up? Do they do anything proactively? Do they reach out? Do they like stuff? Do they? Because I get people who just want to be on the show and I never hear from them again. And I'm really looking for lifetime connections. I'm
Mhm.
looking for people who want to add value. And this is one of the I talk about 17 big mistakes we make when we're going to be on someone else's podcast, from the pitch stage to the delivery to after. This is one of the biggest mistakes people make in the beginning is they pitch and they don't follow through. So, Chris, you're a great example of how not to give up. Well done, my friend. And how it does pay off if you find a new angle to get that connection to come to life.
I love it.
Because Chris is being on my show in a few months.
Yay. I'm so excited about that.
Me too.
Finally. Oh my gosh.
Yay,
I'm
we
so
made it happen.
exhausted.
Your persistence is paying off.
But this is such real life, though. I'm glad we're being this
Mhm.
vulnerable right here in front of everybody, because this is the way it works. Like, I don't know. We all listen to shows and see whatever is going on whatever platform we're going to follow. And we think, oh my gosh, they're so lucky. They got on. No, they're not. They worked their way into that relationship, and
We
it just
did.
takes time. And again, we're like 2 years into this freaking thing. And here we are, you know? I love it. I love it. Okay.
I
So
do too.
let me just say this. Melanie obviously is really good at figuring out like how to make this thing work for you, getting yourself noticed. Like, you're an expert Here's the only thing I know about Group Coach Nation. I know how to build group coaching programs and masterminds. I know how to get leads. I know how to sell them. I know how to build the offers and fill masterminds. That's my gig. I am not an authority builder. Okay. You got to have two things to be successful selling information: people who recognize that you're an authority and like nod to you in a digital format and say, yeah, that person knows their stuff. I need to know more about that. And then you have to have a real offer that they can buy from you. Those two things, honestly, and obviously being able to do the work, but those two things are the things that make you successful. You got to have people attracted to you, and you got to have an offer to sell them. All right. I do the prospecting and offer part. Melanie is the attraction expert. Like, Melanie, can I just put your website up here for a second? And I got more
Oh,
questions.
please. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, it's not my website, but it takes you to that 17 mistakes tool that I mentioned a minute ago.
Perfect. And so many
Yeah.
people here are podcast hosting and guesting are trying to figure that out. So Melanie Benson, MELANIE BENSON.com / forward slash group coach. All right. So melaniebenson.com / group coach. And what's right there, Melanie, in that spot?
Yeah, so we've been talking a little bit about the podcast guesting side of things. And what I found is that we were talking about this and laughing about this in the green room. People say, oh, I know I should be on podcasts. And I just did like a whole podcast tour. I was on like 10 podcasts last week and like 5 of them aired and I've got nothing. And I'm like, yes, that's right.
Yep.
Because you're making like 10 of these 17 mistakes in how you're approaching it. Just being on people's podcasts is not the holy grail. It's what you do. It's the strategic piece of it. It's picking the right podcasts. It's knowing how to deliver a magnetic topic that pulls through what I call a golden thread, where you're building, interest, you're getting people intrigued, and you're getting them invested in whatever it is that you have as the next step with you, whatever, your whatever kind of platform you're on. And
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't stop once the episode airs, Chris, you know this.
I do.
It's like what you do afterwards. And so I my heart kept breaking hearing people say like, "It's not working for me. I'm gonna stop doing it." I'm like, "No, don't stop. I promise it works." But you don't have all the pieces yet. And
Hmm.
authority is one of those. And so yeah, that's that. It's called 17 mistakes that are costing you the lead and the client, and how to fix them so that you can add another 6 figures to your business.
I can't think of anybody I know who doesn't want another 6 figures in their business.
Me either.
So, okay. Thank you. Thank you for setting that up just for Group Coach Nation. I really
Yeah,
appreciate
you're
that.
welcome.
MelanieBenson.com / group coach nation. So, Melanie, let's go back. We just got a few minutes left. If you could just leave anything with us today, like, okay, guys, if you're just going to do something, Group Coach Nation, to build collaborations and to like turn one on this week, what would it be?
I'm sorry. I was still like thinking group coach nation. If there's one thing that somebody could do,
Yeah, I'm going to turn one collaboration on this week. I'm going to like get one activated.
yeah.
What is that going to be?
We're all on social media. I want you to think about there's somebody that you've been kind of in your orbit. You guys have been dancing around each other. You've been seeing their stuff and you're like, gosh, they're so good. I want you to think about one person that you can give value to in some way, shape, or form and open up this opportunity. So if you have a show, invite them to your show. If you don't have a show, could you share something they do on social media? Do they have some kind of an offer, a book, their own podcast, a show, a resource that you love? Could you share it in some way? Start giving value. And if you've already done some of that, then take the next step and reach out and say, I want to figure out how we can support each other better. Would you be open to that?
Mm.
And get a dialogue going with them, either on the phone, in a virtual coffee chat, or by giving them massive value.
I love that. It's just so simple. Just be kind, be awesome, give somebody a high five, and find out how you can add value to them. It will come back to you. Karma is a cool thing. I don't know how it works. Doesn't matter if you're spiritual or not. It's relationships, whatever. Be an awesome person and awesome stuff comes back around.
Yeah. Connections nurtured multiply exponentially.
Connections nurtured multiply exponentially. That is a really good quote.
Thank you. I just made that up, but it felt fitting.
It's so good. You should write that down.
It's a writer downer. Connections nurtured multiply exponentially, and it's true. And I've
That's
seen it
so true.
happen.
I'm going to leave us with that. Group Coach
Okay.
Nation, do work, get results. As always, do work, get results. Go nurture those connections so you can multiply your results. Just do it the right way, like Melanie's telling us. Melanie, thank you again. MelanieBenson.com/group Coach Nation. It's been
No
so.
nation on the
Oh,
end.
no, just group coach.
Coach.
Yeah, Melanie. I'm so used to saying that. MelanieBenson.com/group coach. Just for us, so you can go figure out how to make fewer mistakes and get the success you need in activating all of these connections in your life. Go make it happen, folks. Melanie, thank you again so much.